welcome to a brand new episode in which we talk about many things today, including the dark side of collecting retro games. And with that, of course, we're going to be doing some pickups from I believe it was the Nottingham gaming market, which was an amazing market, absolutely freaking awesome. I had such a good time there. And the next one I'm going to be at is Doncaster gaming market, which I believe is the 23rd of November. But I've made some notes because I feel like sometimes a girl just needs to sit in front of a camera rather than running around multiple counties doing loads of retro game hunts. I'm not going to lie, it is nice just to sit down, and I kind of miss these videos where I'm just talking to a camera. I actually really do enjoy them. I've been thinking about bringing some Amiga content back actually. There's a huge, every time I mention Amiga, my comment section explodes. So many people love the Amiga, and with it being such a staple in the British like a gaming scene, I think I really need to reignite some Amiga stuff, so let me know what you think about that. But the dark side of collecting. The first point I want to make is burnout. And that is not the game series. You do from time to time get burnt out. Now there's many different layers to video game collecting burnout. There's the macro approach, what I call a macro approach. So this is a holistic view that collecting can become a little bit tiresome, and I speak to many people that have gone through that and they've sold the collections, and that is just not me. First of all, the collection is going nowhere. We're going to continue to grow and thrive. But I've figured it out on a more micro level. And what I mean by that is certain parts of collecting can become very tiresome. Now, there was a point this year when I was hammering the Super Nintendo collection, and I think my credentials as a content creator and as a collector have been bolstered ever since I went to America in the summer of 2024. I filmed kiosk collections, I filmed obviously America, the largest game collection, the largest game store in the UK, largest game store in England. We went out to Germany. I mean, again, I've said it before, I've earned my stripes in this space. But with that does come an element of burnout when you're collecting. And at the minute, for example, my kind of head is focused on PS4, I'm gonna say it, and PS3 stuff, whereas previously this year it was all about Super Nintendo. It was very much about cardboard, Super Nintendo, and I think I've got a little bit burnt out with that. So when I come up into the Lady Loft, which is where the PS4 stuff is, the Wii U, Switch and all that good fun stuff, PS3, I look at it and I think there's actually a list of games that I want to start to prepare to be able to go out to CEX, my local retro game stores and the markets and really hone in on some of that stuff. So I kind of feel that at times it can become very you can become very overwhelmed with that collecting on certain levels. I'm certainly not bored of it on a holistic level, but very much more on a micro level, and that will shift, I dare say, when I finished, my little list, which I will compose for PS3 stuff and PS4. I'll probably move on to 360. I went through a 360 stage once. I went through like a console collecting stage of 360, and it's crazy because you get burnt out and then you move to the next, and you get burnt out and you move to the next, and that in itself can become tiresome. And I know a lot of my viewers, you guys will kind of relate to that, and I've heard many YouTubers actually sit and talk about that as well. And I think it's not just exclusive to video games. It can be whether you collect stamps or musical instruments or shoes. Collecting as a hobby is very expensive, all consuming, and it does warrant burnout. So for me at the minute, we're realigning the focus to what you're going to see over the coming months of PS3 stuff and PS4 stuff. So that being said, what I want to know are hidden gems. Talk to me about hidden gems. Any hidden gem recommendations, list them. PS3 hidden gems, bang them out. Help me create that list. I need your help. And then what will be fun is you guys can watch me achieve the list that we create in our video. So please, what I'm after are PS4 hidden gems from you and PS3 hidden gems, so I can kind of move away from that bit of burnout and realign my focus on this. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be making my own list as well. I have this book and I write loads of ideas down when I get a little bit confused. So definitely with the burnout stuff, shifting it, I want PS3 hidden gems and PS4 hidden gems, and we will aim to do that list. We'll aim to kind of go through it. So that's kind of one thing that just feels like a little bit of a dark cloud at times. So what I do to deal with that dark cloud is I realign my focus into a different part of the collection. I need a few seconds of your time to tell you about channel memberships. If you guys want to become a channel member, click join from the main page or the second link in the description. There are 3 tiers, all with different perks for you if you want to become a team member. Thanks for your time. Let's continue with the video. Now, speaking of collections, there's this notion of subsets and complete collections. Now, for me, I think it's very burdensome to go for complete collections. It's very difficult and it's insanely expensive. I actually feel like it's almost an impossible task unless you've got infinite time and infinite money. I really do, especially when it comes to cardboard stuff like the Super Nintendo is very hard to collect for. There's obviously a lot of easy stuff to collect for, and that comes in the form of subsets. So recently, and you're going to see this in this next segment where we do the pickups, but I actually managed to complete a subset recently, a very small, easy PAL UK subset of N64. I think it's what I call the classics titles. So we're going to cut to pickups now. So this is like a different segment, and you'll see me finally complete a subset. Because what I don't want to do is over encumber myself with, I'm going for full PS3, I'm going for full Mega Drive. I've seen this come and go over the years. Not a lot of people do it. And people tend, and a lot of people I speak to at markets, you will say to me, I was collecting full PAL Mega Drive, then I sold it. I was collecting full PAL Super Nintendo, like I filmed a full PAL Super Nintendo collection this year. The gentleman had to sell it to help his son. People do move on from that. So here's the subset I collected. I think that's a great segue into this next section of the video. Check out pickups. Gem from the past, take it away. So as promised, it is time for pickups from the Nottingham retro gaming market. Overall, I think I spent in the vicinity of around £300. Heather got an absolute wad of stuff as well. She showed her pickups on her podcast. I think it was last week now. So go and check it out. I'll link the episode. So got some really nice stuff, and for me it was absolutely amazing to finally complete the PAL UK subset of the Nintendo Player's Choice, or rather the classics version as I call it, N64 line. So the 3 games that I needed and the 3 games we managed to find, if you were eagle-eyed in the episode, were this. The most expensive one, Snowboard Kids. Now, if you buy this on a black label, you're looking at about £40 to £60 depending on condition. Now, this one was priced at £90, and that's because there's a little bit of damage on the corners there, a little bit of fraying, but that's absolutely fine by me. The more immaculate version was priced at £120, so I was like, you know, can we come to an arrangement? And he's like, hang on a minute, I've got this. Didn't really haggle on price. I was happy to pay £90, but he let me have it for £75, and it was a great stall. I've bought many a games. In fact, I got my copy of Turtles in Time on PAL from that stall at the Leeds Gaming Market. And this is a great game. This is a really nice 4-player snowboarding game, and I think the N64 for me was so enriching. I think it was like the last console that really, for me, amplified couch co-op. So this came out, obviously, like the N64, you kind of like the back end of the 90s, the second half of the 90s. And I started university in 2001, so the N64 was still prevalent in my peer group. So we would sit down and play many a 4-player game, GoldenEye being one of them, Snowboard Kids, and Mario Kart as well. So lots of fun memories on this. And again, I think out of the entire subset of these, this is one of the more expensive titles. And I ummed and ahed. If you watch the episode, I was like, do I, don't I, do I, don't I? And I thought, you know what? If I leave, it would be such a shame because I might not see it. And I think this is actually in really nice condition. So very happy to get that. And the other 2 games are these. Same vendor, just mentioned this game, GoldenEye, a classic game. This was one of the pinnacle games on the Nintendo 64 that I have a ton of memories playing. Priced at 30, and I think that's a good price, and here's my reasoning why. Doncaster Market, it was definitely this year. I saw this for 120 odd quid and I was like, what the hell? What the absolute hell? There's no way I'm paying 120 for this on this label, this Player's Choice label. So I saw it for 30 and I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. But saw this very same version in Kenny's for 25 and it had a big like bit of the artwork missing. And I was like, in and ahhing in that episode, do I, don't I? Obviously, I thought it's too much. I don't mind like fraying on the corners here, but when artwork's missing, it takes away a bit of that magic, especially if you're collecting a specific subset. So I'm glad I waited. And as you guys can see, this is in lovely condition, really nice condition, front and back as well. So you know what? It's awesome. And the fact that they have the Sentinel cases on as well, I think is a really nice thing. I mean, vendors don't need to do that. A lot of the shops that I go to do take off the plastic cases. For me, I'd rather just keep them on. If I was like selling at markets, I'd just keep them on because I think for me, it just gives that customer a little bit more bang for the buck. These are quite cheap anyway off Etsy. So, you know, vendor wise, to keep these on, thank you. It's an absolute blessing for a collection of this size. And the final one is a classic one, and it is this Banjo-Kazooie. I remember working on a market stall when I was around 14, 15 years of age. Just a little story now about Banjo-Kazooie. I got a £100 bonus at Christmas and it was a Saturday. I used to finish work about 4:20 and my boss at the time handed me, a 14, 15-year-old little girl, £100. It felt like I'd won the flipping lottery. So me and my gamer brain ran straight to Woolworths, and when I say ran, I ran as fast as I could to Woolworths and I went straight in for a copy of Banjo-Kazooie, Black Label, it had just come out, as well as Ocarina of Time. I'm looking there, my N64 stuff's down there. Ocarina of Time, and I had 2p change. And then I ran again all the way down the hill to my house and I locked myself in my bedroom at my grandmother's house and I played the hell out of Banjo-Kazooie and Ocarina of Time. Honestly, I had so much fun with these games, and the fact that I was able to buy them brand new for myself it felt even more special. And now I look back and I kick myself knowing that I got rid of those games. I wish I had some of my games from my childhood. I wish I had some of my games from my childhood. And with that being said, have you got any copies of any video games or consoles or any bits of memorabilia, random things, could be anything? Have you got anything from your childhoods? Please let me know in the comment section. And yeah, definitely really happy to have this. I believe this is where I'm probably going to make a fool of myself now. Someone's going to say, no, you're missing a game, but I'm pretty sure we have the entire subset. Obviously on NTSC American, it's very different. I believe they got a copy of Ocarina. We didn't get that. So really happy to get this. Let's take a look at the full subset in all of its glory. So we've got a copy of Lilac Wars. I'll be able to get this sticker off, but this is your first kind of classics Player's Choice label. Another banger title here with some Wave Race. I know this is a personal favourite of Metal Jesus. Really iconic box art, lovely graphics, great music, and another one that feels absolutely great to play, even by today's standard. This is one of my personal favourites on the Nintendo 64. And of course, speaking of personal favourites, Mario Kart 64. No Nintendo console is complete without a Mario Kart, albeit the latest Mario Kart on Nintendo Switch 2 isn't really doing it for me. This was an absolute baller and kept me company at university. The N64 was not short of racing games. We've showed many here in this actual little segment, and F-Zero X is incredible. Again, great soundtrack, great graphics, great to play with your friends, and I will say that we need a new F-Zero on the Nintendo Switch 2, as I feel that would add so much value to the console with a massively weak lineup at launch. Super Mario 64, of course, it's the 3D Mario I never really liked back in the day, but as I've gotten older, it really has grown on me. This does feel like a classic now, but unfortunately, I didn't really enjoy it back in the day. F1 Grand Prix, again, really nice box art, but not really a great game, but fortunately, it's needed to complete the subset, so here it is. Banger title with some 1080 snowboarding. I was hooked on this back in the day. I used to play this at my grandma's when I lived with her. I had an unboxed copy, and this is my first time ever seeing it. When I got it, I'd never actually seen this. I didn't even realise it was a Player's Choice until I accidentally came across it at a market. And I think it was this game that spurred me on to actually start collecting Player's Choice subset. So we've got some 1080, and of course the 3 games that we've already seen in today's episode. Now, 2 Super Nintendo games here, one of which I accidentally bought a double. Fever Pitch Soccer, it's actually over there. Fever Pitch Soccer, so I'm going to be selling this, paid 35 quid for this. I just want to make my money back. I think that I've already got a buyer for it, but if not, it'll be going on Discord this week, link in description. And then another sports title, PGA Tour 96. Now hear me out, Team 24. Nestle in for a little bit of story time. Anything in the later life cycle of the Super Nintendo for me is an absolute must because these games tend to hold their value a bit more. Admittedly, the box art lacks significantly. It's a tiny little picture of a man putting. Yeah, he's putting. Yeah, me and my golf knowledge. He's definitely putting. I don't know who it is. The picture's uninspiring, but I bought this game purely as a collector. It cost me £25. And again, both of these are in essential cases, which is great. And I think for 25 quid, you can't really go wrong, can you? You can't really go wrong. So I'm going to be putting that down here. And of course, I'm going to be selling this. The reason I bought a double, and I can hear you now, Gemma, catalogue your collection. I don't have time. I used pictures and I only looked at this section of the collection. We've got SNES games here, we've got SNES games there, and we've got SNES games there. And my copy of Fever Pitch Soccer is over there. So I'm an idiot, I know. Most of you think that anyway, so that's absolutely fine. And yeah, but I'll be selling it. So they were the 2 Super Nintendo games that I picked up. Now for some PlayStation 1 stuff. Shout out to Herv, who in the episode said this.
I didn't know they named the game after you, Jem.
Perfect Weapon, excuse me. Yes, Perfect Weapon. It's like a 3D brawler kind of game. And the reason, I'll backpedal, there's 2 reasons why I like retro games, okay? One is the nostalgia, to relive the childhood, to really tap into those core memories that made you happy in the 90s, you know, with your friends in the summer holidays, playing on the Amiga or the Sega Mega Drive or the PS1, whatever. That's the first reason, nostalgia. The second reason is to open my mind to playing and experiencing new games that I've never heard of, therefore never played, such as Perfect Weapon. So this cost £40 and I looked at the gameplay and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give that a go. So thank you to Heather for picking it up. I've never seen it. Have you played it? We want to hear from you. And of course, on any of these games, if you want to share some of your memories, let's experience that nostalgia together in the comment section. And a game that I have played, PS1, this is the white label edition, or grey label, Toshinden 4. I used to sit and watch my friend Matt play this, and I've always admired the box art, and if you open it up, you get the full shebangs of this glorious Toshinden 4 box art right there. That is beautiful, isn't it? So I wanted to pick that up and that cost me £8. So this was 40. Didn't ask for a discount. Other than Snowboard Kids, I didn't ask for a discount on any, did I? I think I might have done on Banjo-Kazooie. Tend to just pay what's asked, really. So Perfect Weapon and Toshinden 4 on your PS1. Now, this next one was a bit of a blind purchase on the NES, okay? This is Iron Sword Wizards and Warriors 2. Lovely box art, as many NES and 8-bit games had fantastic box art. When you look at the gameplay, the screenshots do not do any justice for the box art, and that always baffled me about the NES stuff. Really nice box art, 8-bit style graphics. Anyway, this looked really cool, and this is CIB. Manual is a bit battered actually on this one, but very happy just to kind of go on a bit of a blind purchase for 20 quid. I need to get a little Sentinel case for it, but if you've played it or if you've got any tips, tricks on difficulty, anything you want to add, you know, hit me up in the comment section. Is this worth 20 quid? I'm going to go as far as to say, yes, this is going to be a great purchase for 20 quid. Okay, so pretty happy with that N64 lot. Really nice to kind of go in with that. I could go as further as to say I could collect NTSC, but I'm not too bothered. I actually really like the, I think that's my only subset that I've completed. And it's easy because there's not a lot of them. There's more difficult subsets to collect for, but it doesn't, like I'm not a completionist from that sense. I do like to just collect the odd bits like that, but mainly collect what I'm gonna play. And that leads me on nicely to this point. Selling. I have thinned my collection out no end, and that comes again, it ties very much in with feeling very burnt out and very over encumbered. Now I'm going to draw your attention to this beautiful quote in Fight Club, and it says this: things you own end up owning you. And that's resonated with me from the day I saw Fight Club. And that's arguably stupid and asinine, as I'm sitting on one of the most amazing collections, you know, ever for me personally. It's a labour of love and I'll always collect. But I'm also very mindful that if it doesn't bring you joy, it moves on. Now, over this last couple of years, I've sold my 3DO collection, I've sold a massive PSP collection, Pocket Neo Geo, and there's other stuff that I'm going to be selling. Or am I? Because here's where my solution focused thinking also comes in. A lot of people keep saying to me, why don't I open a shop? I don't want to open a shop because that comes with its own trials and tribulations. But what I can do is have a market stall. And I'm thinking seriously that I stop selling privately and I start taking my stuff to the monthly replay events markets. So I'm also going to be collecting, because I've got some consoles, but I'm also going to be potentially looking at other stuff within my collection that doesn't bring me joy, and then going down to markets, using that as content, really kind of getting that, because that's different, that's cool, isn't it? That's going to be something that I can really, really focus on, and maybe do a bit of buying to sell, I don't know. I really liked, I'm not selling any of my Super Nintendo stuff, the stuff that I really am passionate about, but there's lots in here that I could take to a market or start to collect to take to a market. So there's the potential that next year I'm going to step into that realm. Selling private's great, but I think I can get more content out of it as a kind of a bit of a seller of my own collection, because I think every now and again you do need to thin things out, you need to move it on, recycle it back into the collection for things that you're probably more passionate about, that you're going to play a little bit more, or you might have kids and you want to focus on that and introduce them to a little bit of retro from your childhood. There's many different ways we can play and enjoy retro games, and I think part of the territory comes with selling or trading or moving things on in general. So that is the kind of dark side to, again, it ties in with burnout, because when, you know, dark side to collecting is your collection becomes too big. We've always spoke about the issue of space and how that can be burdensome as well. And, you know, selling is a great way to overcome that. So whilst this is very much about the lame ass side of collecting, there's also lots of solutions that, as we, you know, retro game collectors move through this amazing hobby, sometimes you've just got to let things go. Would I ever sell my collection? Absolutely not. This is as much a part of me as my skin feels. Again, I absolutely adore the hobby. I love getting out there. I love talking to people. I love the connections that we make in the community. I wish there was more positivity in the UK. There seems to be a very different culture in the US that I've experienced. And I think we need to harbour that kindness and the, you know, especially online, be a little bit more kind to each other online in the community. So for those of you that have stuck with me, let me use that as a personal effort to say thank you so much for being kind and awesome and very much being a part of the Team 24 community. So hopefully next year, when I've amassed enough to fill a table and it look awesome, you will see me selling at a replay event market. Now there's that whole question of, is collecting an addiction? So sometimes the label of that can be a little bit stigmatizing and a little bit polarizing. And I guess that's like anything. Is the gym an addiction? Possibly. The way I see it is if your collecting habits costs you more than money, you have a problem. So I'm going to say that again. And this is, for me, this is the underpinning thing for addiction. If your hobby costs you more than money, you have a problem. My hobby costs me money. That's it. I don't live off credit. I'm not in debt. You know, I pay for this with disposable income. So I don't see my collecting habits as an addiction, but there have been a lot of people in the comment section that have said, oh, you're an addict, you're a hoarder, you're this, that, and the other. And that can sometimes be a little bit shrouding for some people. It's not necessarily for me, but I wanted to bring it to the table as a talking point, because for some, I guess it is. And I know a lot of people, and I've spoke to a lot of people at markets that have openly said to me they've gotten into a lot of debt to be able to go out there and seek their dream collections for the sake of debt. That's not me, and I hope that's not you. But my advice to you is to live to your means in regards to collecting. If your budget's £10 at a market, great, you can get some lovely cheap retro games, like I said on my BBC segment earlier this year. Or you can go all out if you've got the money and buy Earthbound for £2,000, like I did at Doorway to Darkness a few months ago. So for me, it doesn't feel like it's like a problem for me in my life. It very much brings me a lot of joy and a lot of connection and a lot of content. And for that, I'm really grateful. So certainly some interesting points for me that I'd written down, and I wanted to just kind of hop on camera and share some of my thoughts. Again, it's really nice in conclusion just to sit down sometimes. I think I'm going to be doing a lot more of this, provocative pieces where we just talk and we can hash it out in the comment section, and I'm happy to kind of reply and get involved in your side of things. And obviously you can expect a lot more retro game hunts because we want the PS3 hidden gems and we want the PS4 hidden gems. So I'm actually really looking forward to getting back out there and going to some new places to be able to get those games coming into the collection. So thank you so much. Let me know what you think of pickups as well. Let me know what you think of the N64 subset. But for now, I would ask 3 things of you, my Team 24 members, subscribers rather, just to help me out. Like, hype, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Cheers.